when I get this back on the road, it should be time. I should have fixed all the little problems. It should be time to start tuning the carburetor. I've simplified the NOS, just make it straight from the solenoid to there, because I'm going to have to redesign it all for the powered fuel now. Now, one thing I noticed was that this is the overflow there to the float bowl, and it's always got a bit of fuel in it. Now, it never dribbles on the floor, but it always has it. Every time I come in the shed, it's got a little bit of fuel in it. So I'm suspecting that the float bowl was set too high. So what I've done was the fuel is turned on. I haven't turned the ignition on yet, because as soon as I do that, it'll start to go. So I'll just do this. Hang on, I'll just turn the ignition on. Right, that the pump's on now. That noise you heard was the pump just getting ready. So that's all the way up. Now you expect that to drop a little bit, but look, that's barely dropping. So I have to set that so it drops a little bit more. I'll do it from here. See that? So I have to reset that so that, I think that's what it is. I think the float bowl is just too full. I swapped over float bowls just so you get an idea what's going on, from this metal one to the see-through one. Now what I think the problem was, why it was leaking out the bottom there, was, see that there is a height. So if the petrol gets up to that, it flows out and dribbles down to the ground. And you can see the pool, and you know something's not right. So, but what I think was happening was that it was overfilling and coming out, because I just swapped over float bowls, and see the levels right up to there. At the same time, that is about as maximum as that float, as this can go, and it's hitting the top up there. So at the same time as this max out, it's about as high as it can go. So I think petrol was just seeping in here, filling it up. The problem with that is that this one has no level. It would have to spew out the top, but it wouldn't make it to there. It would go down there into the motor first. So you'd flood your motor, because that one, so I've got to get it right. So I'm just going to keep adjusting the float bowl height until I've got it sitting down here somewhere, because it's the bottom there, that very bottom in, let's see, it gets a bit of adjustment on there. That's where the jet is in there, so that's plenty of room. I'll get the float petrol level about there, and that way I don't have pressure on that seal there, and it should all be better. So I'll get that bit right before I move on to the next section. Okay, so I've taken the float bowl off, and I've bent the little tab for the needle seat. I bent it up. Can you see that? I bent it up that much. It was dead flat. That flat bit there was dead flat. Now it's bent up, so that's all ready to go. Also, I changed the pilot jet, which is this one here. This one sits inside that thing, and it's for the low speed. It's for the idling system, and I'll start it up and I'll show you how more responsive it is now than what it was before. Now, also, I turn the power on. You'll see the fuel pump start. I don't think the Postie will use fuel at that rate, so I think that's good enough. And hopefully it doesn't make it all the way to the top now, and it shuts itself off a bit earlier than that. That's it. So, see, that's just the corner there. So that means that it's a little bit of an angle, so it's running up to here. So that's a bit shy from that, but it's still way higher than where the main jet's picking up fuel, or the pilot jet's picking up fuel, which is just in front of that one. So I think that's plenty of fuel, and it's got enough room now to put pressure on that needle seat and shut itself off properly and all that sort of stuff. So, but I'll take that off anyway, and I'll put the metal one back on, because once I've changed the pilot jet, then I want that screwing section on the other one, so I can change main jets as needed. And while we're talking about the jets, this is my list when I come in for my rides of the things that I need to fix. First ride, second ride, and I'm ticking them off as I'm going through them. This is my list of jets. Remember I went through the carburetor before and explained all how it works. Currently I have the 26mm carburetor, which is a small carby. The needle clip is in the middle position. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's currently there. If I go up to here, it pushes the needle in further, which makes it leaner. If I put it down here, it pulls the needle up, which makes it richer. The needle type is just the standard one it came with. Air screws, 2.5 out. That's the reason why I want to do the pilot jet, because you really should be somewhere between 1 and 2. 2.5 is at the out maximum, so it means it's too rich. I need to make a smaller jet. I've got smaller jets now, so I've done that. Pilot jet number, it's a 38 that I had in there. Now I've got a 32 in there. Main jet, it's what it came with. I have still haven't looked. I must look. See what number that is. Emulsion tube, it's +2. It's that tube that the air comes into, and the main jet sucks the fuel up, but the air mixes with it and goes down the carburetor to make it more frothy. Frothy is vapor, vapor makes power, blah blah blah. And I have one that has 2 more holes in it, if you remember that from the other time. Power jet, I had it 1 screw out. Now I'm eliminating the power jet altogether, so I've 0 turns out and disconnected. So it's just not there anymore because I'll have my fuel pump power in there now. NOS, PSI, haven't started playing with that yet. And there's the air temperature, what sort of day it is. It's got a little bit of an effect.